Stop the cap.
Damn, I am just getting away from the videos and other topics I wanted to talk about, but whatever, things pop up. But this whole conversation surrounding, Medium Man, which is based off of Kevin Samuels bringing up the 54% of black men don't have kids. And, I went back and revisited the data and the source from the CDC, the 2015 to 2019 study, because the women were trying to push back, bringing up a chart from the CDC that they read incorrectly, saying that 80% of black men have kids. That is not what that chart says. What that chart says is, of the men who are fathers, 80% have children by the time that they're 49. And the same thing applies, for the women, and the number is even higher for women. And that makes sense because young people are the ones that have, kid or relatively young people, young to middle age are the people that have kids. By the time somebody is 49 years old, they've had their kids. The other 20% of that number are the people who have kids over 50. Okay, they have their first child over 50. They were, I don't know, messing around and, oops, had a baby, or even some of these women that, they thought they went through menopause and then they come to find out that, they still had a baby. I'm sure you can Google a number of women, who you hear about some, 54-year-old woman that gave birth because she got pregnant. Yeah, she thought she was done, and no, she wasn't done yet. So, that's that. But the women, I mean, I've had all type of trolls and everything else. I mean, the mental gymnastics they're going through to try to get away from the reality, of this. And I'm saying, look, all of us fell for it, including black men. You know what I mean? Black, people kind of take this sort of suck their fingers, stick it in the air, combined with, media propaganda, messaging from white supremacy, that the biggest problem in the black community is fatherlessness, in the black community, right? And I'm not here to say that fatherlessness isn't a problem, right? But it's not as big of a problem as black female sexual irresponsibility. And nobody's ready to have that conversation. You got Larry Elders talking about fatherlessness and kids, without fathers, and 72% of black kids, born out of wedlock. Again, this CDC study is really about poverty. That's what it's really about. How the women and the boys, in poverty, that's where, a majority of your unprepared, people are having babies too early. And the thing is the women are outpacing, the young men. Yes, young black men are having more babies than Asian men, white men, and even Hispanic men. And I'm going to get into Hispanic men in a minute, because that's what I discovered about the Latino population is very interesting. Black men are having more than they are, but not by much. In other words, in the black community, 46% of black men are fathers, right? From 15 to 44, which is what this study took the population of, where 80% of men are done having children by the age of 49, right? White men, since everybody loves to use white men as the standard, 43% of white men, are fathers. 54% of black men have no children and will never have children. 50% of white men, I think it's 50.1 to be exact, of white men are never going to have children. This goes into the white folks, freaking out about the decline in their population, right? But black men are not far off from where the standard white men are, since they have all the resources in the whole goddamn world. But when it comes to black women, right, the study says that 62% of Latino women are mothers, right? And then it says that 61% of black women are mothers, and white women are less than black women. Hold on, I want to pull up the study. Give me 1 second. So here we are. A higher percentage of Hispanic women, regardless of nativity, which means whether they were born in the United States or not. And that's important. That's going to come up in a second. 62.4% of them, excuse me, 62.4% of them are mothers, and non-Hispanic black women at 61.0% had ever had a biological child. These are only people who are mothers when we're talking about the category of women. Followed by non-Hispanic white women, which is 54.6%, and non-Hispanic Asian women, which is 47.9%. So Asian women are the only women who have more single Asian women than they do, excuse me, more, I shouldn't say it like that. More Asian women who are not mothers or childless Asian women than Asian women who are actually mothers. And a lot of that has to do with education, because the education, comes into play when it comes to when a lot of these women become mothers. And this flies in the face of and black women are killing it, and we got degrees, and we out here, kicking ass. And the biggest problem with that narrative for such a long time, and this is one of the biggest issues, is because you can't address a problem if you don't actually know what the problem is. So the narrative in the black community is black women are awesome. They're kicking ass. They're all Ebony K. Williams. They all have degrees. Okay. And there are oceans of uneducated, poor, impoverished black women that are making babies all over the place more than anybody else. Right. And then the narrative is blame black men. Black men are the reason why there's so many single black mothers in the black community. Only 46% of black men are fathers. 54% of black men don't have any kids. So black men, the whole myth about black men got babies all over the place, that's cap. That's cap. Black women are the ones that got babies all over the place. And I'm going to get into that, in a second. Hold on. Because I'm looking at two screens right now. Right. So, I wrote on my community tab. I laid this out. And then let me say this. And y'all can get in your feelings all you want. OK. And I already said this. Everybody drank the Kool-Aid on this. Everybody, black men, old black men, young black men. Nobody took the time to actually sit down there and look at these numbers. And I'm sitting there. I was watching it was like an old Ricky Lake episode that came up on my YouTube, and I'm sitting there watching this shit, and everything. This is all in the 90s. It's all framed as the problem is black men not taking care of their kids. Even that 1986 ABC special. Right? Oh, black men, and we single mothers, and black men not substantial to the family, all of that. And the majority of black men do not have kids. And black women have been running with this narrative, for, I don't know, 50 years, 40 years, 35 years, right? They've been running with this narrative, and I mean running with it hard. I'm going to say it like somebody said in my comment section. Black women literally need to go on an apology tour. And I know that they're scoffing right now at that idea. No, literally. Y'all need to go on a We Are Sorry apology tour specifically for, promoting all this sort of rhetoric that it just simply isn't true. All this. I mean, that is a hell of an accusation That is a hell of, I mean, black women are in no moral position to sit there and talk about black men got too many babies out here, and 54% of black men don't have any kids. And 61% of black women are mothers. No moral position, to spew that. If you want to talk about poverty in the inner city, if you want to talk about, young people, having a talking to, you got all this, the problem in the black community, right? We got this fucked up kids to resource ratio. Oh, the problem in the black community is we need black men to go in there and they need to mentor these boys, right? No, actually, the problem in the black community is that all these strong, independent, Ebony K. Williams type of black women need to go into the inner cities and go into the black community and have a conversation with these girls. Because even in the inner city, even in the poorest of situations, the girls are out here producing more babies with multiple people than the men. First off, again, the majority of the men don't have kids. And then on top of that, the women have the number of women in the black community that are mothers that have kids by multiple men is 59%. 59%. The number and again of the women who are mothers, 59%. So we're already at the majority of black women are mothers at 61%. And then of that 61%, 59% of those women have kids with multiple men. Are you comprehending what I just said? Are you comprehending the number? 61% of the black women in the community are mothers. That's over half. While over half of the black men, 54%, don't have any kids. Then of that 61% of black women in the black community that are mothers, 59% of that 61% have kids by multiple men. You want to know what the number is for black men? Well, what's the number for black men? How many kids do black men got out here in the world? I'm sure there's black men, they got kids all over the place, and they got multiple baby mamas and all that shit. The number for, where's this at? The number for black men is 32%. So of the 46% of black men that are fathers, which is less than 50%, which is not the majority, 32% of those men, 1/3 of those men, have kids by multiple women. Okay, and I'm saying we could take some numbers away from that. When it comes to over the fence, because obviously we're not talking about over the fence. And yes, black men are over the fence more than black women. I think even recently, and the whole interracial numbers thing is kind of skewed because the more recent newlyweds, like 2010 after, 24% of black men married outside the race, and 9% of black women married outside the race. Where if you took all black people, which it would include old people and people who got married in the 60s and the 70s, where interracial relationships weren't happening, if you add all them together as a whole, then you're only going to get something like 12%. So the younger generation of black men are hopping the fence way more than black women. Black women's numbers overall, have gone up in terms of them hopping the fence, but even for the newly married black women, but black men are still, you got what, 3% and now and black men are going to be married outside the race 3 times as much as black women. Okay, and that's from 2010. Here, I'll oh, come on, where's it at? I just had it. What percentage? Hold on. Let me pull this up. Yeah, gender patterns in intermarriage vary widely. Some 24% of black male newlyweds in 2010 married outside their race, compared with just 9% of black female newlyweds. Among Asians, the gender pattern runs the other way. Right, so where black women are like, oh, these black men, they running out here and they creating single moms, with other races of women and all this other stuff. Again, you know, black women are in no moral position to say anything, with their numbers and the multiple kids that they have with multiple men, where only 32% of the 46% of black men who are fathers are having women, by multiple partners, and then again, only again, I don't know how to judge that number, because the average is like 12%, but the more recent, men that have had kids after, or up to, no, after 2010, no, it would be up to 2010, is 24% for the newlyweds. So I don't know what that number is in terms of how many of them are have a baby, let's say, by a black woman and a white woman, or by two white women or Hispanic women or Asian women or whatever, but it's way less than what's going on, with sisters. Way less than what's going on with sisters. So where else? Where am I? Where am I in this? Hold on one second. Oh, and let me give it perspective about the women having kids with multiple partners, right? And again, this Latina number is skewed in my opinion, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, because for African American women, 59% of African American mothers, have multiple fathers. Type of it says type of family structure. For Hispanic women, 35% of them have multiple fathers, and 22% of white women have multiple fathers. Where's this at? Reporting children with, and Asian women ain't even on here, unless that's just cut off. But then you have black men, nearly 1/3, 32% of African American men report having fathered children by more than one mother. More than one woman, compared to 17% of Hispanic men and 14% of non-Hispanic white men. So I guess Asians don't play that. They didn't put the Asians on here. But here's the thing, right? Going through, and I put all the numbers on the community tab, right? And so I said, here's the crazy thing, right? I said, there are more U.S. born Hispanic women without kids, 49%, than native born African American women if foreign Latinas were excluded. If foreign Latinas were excluded, like U.S. Latinas wouldn't be 37.6% versus black women's 39% of childless women. So I read that all fucked up. Let me break that down another way. Okay. So 62% of Latino women are mothers. Okay. With black women, 61% of black women are mothers in America. The problem with the Latino population is that 62% is inflated because it's including women who are Hispanic, but they were born elsewhere. The issue is immigrants come here with their families. The women who come here as immigrants, legal immigrants, illegal immigrants, they come here with their families. So they've already produced children when they come here. So when it comes to Latino women that are born here in the United States and have a more American culture than a culture from, some other country. And then, like Puerto Ricans are weird because Puerto Ricans, they're in another country, technically speaking, but they're U.S. citizens. So how do you categorize them, right? You see how goofy that gets? But Dominicans are not U.S. citizens and they're Latino, and right. And so it can get sticky. But if you just pay attention to the fact that American-based people that fall underneath the category of Hispanic and Latino only 49% of Hispanic women, um, what is this, are without children, meaning no children. 49%. So basically, like half of U.S. born Latinas have kids and half of them don't. When you remove the immigrant population, that just got here yesterday, that came across the Rio Grande. Okay. And then when you look at African American women, right? So in other words, when you remove the, where am I at? The born within, if foreign Latinas were excluded, wouldn't be 37% versus black women's 30s. Okay, so the number of childless women. Okay, I know how I'm going to say this. Okay, the if you excluded the immigrant Latinos or Latinas, right, their number of childless women wouldn't be at 37.6%. It would be at 49%. If we're just looking at US born Latinas, African American women's childless number is at 39%. So they have a number that is closer to Latina women when you add the immigrants that come here with families. That's crazy. Now, I know what somebody's going to say. Well, what's going on? What's going on with the men? What about the men? When comparing, where's this at? Oh, the same applies to black men. When you remove foreign-born Latinos, 61.3% of Hispanic men have no kids versus 54% of black men with no kids. White men have 56.1% have no kids, and Asian men, 65% of them, have, no kids. So, black men, are producing the most kids, but their shit is nowhere near as out of whack as what's going on with African American women. It's nowhere near, because, if I included, right, so it said Latino men, when you remove the immigrants, the Latino immigrant men, their number goes from 50% of Latino men don't have kids to 61.3% of Latino men don't have kids. This is by removing, Jose and Maurice and, all these guys, that are coming here and saying, sí, señor, me no speak English, right? Right? When you remove those guys. Okay, because again, people that are here, the culture is, you say what you want. Oh, my background is this and that, but the culture is American, and Americans have more of an attitude of, hey, I need to make money and I need to do this in order to have kids and start a family and yada yada yada, right? So people tend to not have kids, right? Black women are not just because they're not. Women are always having more kids than men. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay, women will go out, they'll share men, they'll go and get married and then divorce and then go and have kids by another guy and everything else like that. Like even going back to James Sexton, women will divorce and then they'll go off and get remarried. Not with black women. Black women will go out here and they'll have babies early, then they'll go out here and then go and have babies by somebody else, right? Even when it comes to black men being married, right? 34 of the 46% of black men that have kids, 34.4% of those men, minus those that are interracial marriages, are men that are married. Only 28%, I think it's like 28.6 or something like that, of black women are married. So not only do we have a majority of black women who are single mothers mothers in the black community. Let me emphasize that, and let me make that clear. That 61% of black women, those are just women that are mothers. Okay? You got to take that 28% of those women out of there that are, married, right? Because nobody's up here condemning women or condemning men for that matter that are married. Nobody has anything against people who are married. This is not about, oh, people have kids. But if a woman is married, clearly a childless man doesn't have access to her, right? Or shouldn't have access to her. Let me put it that way. I mean, talk about scandalous shit. Um, and and so women who are married and women who are single mothers, ideally, a man that doesn't have a child does not want to link up with a woman, that has kids. This has been one of the prevailing complaints, online coming from black men, which is like, whatever, whether you go to college, get your shit together, whatever, and you out here and you're looking for a mate, you can't throw a rock without hitting a single mother in the black community. Literally, the majority of black women in the black community are mothers, whether they're married or they're not married, right? So you don't have access to that population. 54% of black men are literally looking for 39% of black women. 39% of black, that's what you have to choose from. And I'm going to tell you what really fucked me up in the head. Because I always thought when it came to Latinas, that Latinas are, they're the ones that have babies. They be having babies, at early on, and their numbers are always right there with black women. Not when you remove the immigrant population and the illegals and people who don't have citizens. Not when you remove them out. I'm like, wait a minute. You telling me that Latinas have had, there's more, I can, in other words, if I had the black community in my left hand and a sea of black women, and I had the Latina community in my right hand and a sea of Latinas, I'd have a better chance of finding a childless woman in the U.S.-based Latina community than I would in the African American community. That's crazy. Nothing against Latinos and Latinas and all that other stuff, but y'all had a reputation, that was being, masked by immigrants, that y'all got babies all over the place. Yeah, the immigrants, they come here, again, the whole different culture, whole different economy, everything else like that. They're not in the rat race. That's one of the complaints that immigrants have when they come here, that it's a rat race and that, you don't have time for anything and you're working and you're a debt slave and all this other stuff. So when they over there eating mangoes, you're hungry? Oh, here's a mango tree, plucking mangoes out of the tree and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They start families very early on. You know what I mean? This is where you see shit where, the girl is 30 and her dad is 50. That's very common, in the Latino community. They start, in the early 20s. Okay. But in the black community, again, these numbers are poverty related. They're related to poverty. And so we got two false narratives floating around in the black community. And the two false narratives are that black men are the ones that are primarily the sexually irresponsible ones, and we got babies all over the place. That is false. And then number two is that, black women are killing it and they're strong and independent, and black women, the majority of black women are out here and they're Ebony K. Williams. And again, 61% of black women, are mothers. And when you take out the ones that are married, what the demographic that you're looking at is a demographic that has, that is in poverty, a demographic that has multi-father family structures, right? And you're looking at a demographic that, has low quality of education. That is where the conversation should be. But again, I already know with black women in the black community and African American women, we're just trying to blame black women. We don't know. No, the problem is niggas. The niggas are the problem. I mean, look at the crime. Look at niggas in jail. Like I said, even with the black men in jail, first off, most black men are not serving life sentences. Does that cut into the problem of the socioeconomics and whatnot? Sure, it does. The same, with the fact that black men, young black men have higher rates of young or becoming fathers at young ages, yeah, the demographic of that men are in the same boat, as the women in poverty, growing up in, these single mothered matriarchal homes, and that's another thing, because like that was really fucking with me the other day, because I thinking about the whole aspect of the the matriarchy, the gynocracy, all of that, and I'm saying, and I'm looking at like men like myself, Captain Solo, and a few other men that I know that don't have any kids. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have any kids, and how we're a part of that 54%, right? As of right now, we're a part of that 54%. And how much us exercising discipline, us not having kids, it will do nothing to change this current environment that is just full of single mothers. And you have a woman, she's a single mother, she has a son and has a daughter, and then you got another black woman and she's a single mother and she's got a son and she's got a daughter, and maybe they got, they're half siblings and all that other shit, and how, those boys don't stand a chance. They're not equipped. They're not going to get the proper teachings. They're going to be told some old stupid matriarchal shit. They're going to probably be, man-stroked and coddled with ideas of intrinsic value and shit. And this is where you get all that hotep, looking out your third eye, and, the white man's money is evil and all that other bullshit, until the woman files a complaint because, she needs diapers or something like that. Again, going back to Catherine Eden, which is the white woman that did the research in Philadelphia, where she went to white and black communities and was trying to figure out what's up with the matriarchy. And what she discovered is, you have multiple generations of matriarchs. They don't like patriarchy. They fear the idea and the concept of men being in control. And when it comes to the boys, you end up with a situation where, the boys, if, what made him, and that was my favorite line. You can watch the video on YouTube, just type in Catherine Eden, and she's giving like this, it's like an hour-long video where she's giving a talk, where she brings up the point about how, what made you, talking to men, she's like, what made the guy a great boyfriend working part-time at McDonald's makes him a terrible father. And then she talked about the, how marriage is an abstraction, and how, what you'll see in these environments is where, the women are kind of like, they'll have the baby first, and then I'll get married when I have my shit together, right? It's just, it's just complete matriarchy. But like, just looking at it, and this is something that Captain Solo and I mean, we have gone back and forth and been in so many arguments, and fights about this, because like I said, Cap grew up fast. Father didn't do the right thing. The mom was cheating on dad. Dad felt some type of way. Basically, abandoned, Captain Solo. Captain Solo's mom went out there and, was trying to trap dudes with babies. And, she had an abusive husband. The second guy that she was with shot her 5 times. Cap, it was just aloof, man. He was out in the streets, homeless, living underneath the bridge, joined, the Marines, at an underage, to the point where they had to, basically sign him over to the damn military. Okay, he went through it. And so, when it comes to, he has zero tolerance, for any shenanigans. That's just the way that he is. But what I try to explain, to him, is I'm like, dude, you're built different. And I have to remind him of one time, his he had a cousin, and his cousin, his aunt threatened to throw his cousin out, right? And, she would do that, and he would get to crying and everything else. And one time Cap got into it with his aunt, and Cap's grandmother, she overheard this quarrel, this fight that he was having with his aunt. And she was like, that is not the one you threaten with doors, because that one will leave, because by like 7 years old, Cap had already ran away 3 times. You know what I'm saying? Like he's built different, and it's hard for him to understand. I'm like, you're not understanding, the confusion that these young men go through being raised in a fucking female-headed matriarchal environment. One of the primary things that it was hard for him to understand is like, when Cat was working at Burger King, and he light skinned dude in the 80s, looking like Christopher Williams. The women were on him. But as far as he was concerned, he was like, nah, the women in my family control men because they control the fucking resources. So he was like, nah, man, fuck that. I'm not gonna be your fucking your boy toy. Fuck that. I work at McDonald's. Bitch come in here, she's a fucking engineer. I need a fucking opportunity. I need an opportunity to make some goddamn money. And which is why when he freaking got into General Motors, man, you wouldn't see Cap. Cap was the one that they would have to come down and be like, hey man, you're working too much overtime, man. We're paying you all type of stupid money, like don't, the overtime is there, but it's like, they started, getting on his ass, like, yeah, you abusing the overtime too much. But he was trying to get the fuck out of fucking poverty, trying to get the fuck out of the matriarchy. And the only way a young man can do that is he has to have independent financial resources from the fucking matriarchy, which means gainful employment. None of this is changing without gainful employment for young black men. Period. The women they got government assistance, they got housing. The whole matriarchy is artificially being supported. It would implode if it was in any other fucking environment. But we live in America, and the system is as such, where WIC and food stamps and housing vouchers and all this other shit. So all that shit can be upheld, and sustained on top of the marginalization and the discrimination that black men are socioeconomically faced with. Right? So you end up with these multi-generational matriarchal situations. Those men, please. There's poverty. And drugs is one of the main viable ways of actually making money. And again, all that street shit, like, people are going to get killed. You can only enforce that through violence, right? You can't be like, oh, officer, call 911. Oh, officer, they stole a kilo of my cocaine. Can you get it back for me? Like, no, you got to go out there and handle business. And that's why you see the homicide rates and in the mass incarceration if they get caught up and there's a sting and all this other shit. That's why you see that shit. You know what I mean? But that's really, in many of these environments, like Baltimore, like the shit that you saw with the squeegee boys. Like that young man tried to tell him in that video clip that I used, go watch a video that I have. It's called Squeegee Boys or something like that. You'll see the thumbnail with the guy with the squeegee on it. Like that young man said right in the video. He was like, yo, you shut this down. I promise you, niggas gonna be out here killing again. Because they gotta eat. And the way that we eat right now, without being in the streets and drug dealing and everything else, is fucking, squeegeeing windows and shit. And yeah, every once in a while, they'll get into it with a driver, somebody who tries to peel off and not pay them. And then, again, the media and the news and white folks only want to react to, the black kid's response to being cheated, as opposed to the white person thinking like, oh, let me go fuck with these squeegee boys and pull off. Oh shit, and now I'm stuck at the light and them motherfuckers are kicking on the car and punching on the window and shit. Cause yeah, motherfucker, you tried to fucking peel off, but now you got caught in the traffic jam, motherfucker. We're gonna date your shit up. You know what I mean? And then white people are like, oh, see, this is why we need to get rid of the squeegee boys. Oh, it's just fucking, it's just so fucked up. It's so fucked up. But I'm just looking at it, the matriarchy, the gynocracy. I'm like, nah, there's no, they don't have the tools, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the wisdom, and then they most certainly aren't having any sort of real patriarchal conversation about why men need to be the head and why they need to be in this position and play this role and what women don't do and what women are incapable of. No, the women are telling them they can do anything. It's just like that clip that freaking Dr. T. Hassan Johnson had of that, I don't know what he was, a 12-year-old boy, where the boy was sitting there basically saying, yeah, men ain't substantial to the family on some feminine shit. Just like that Jenks Morton clip where that dude at the end was like, nah, I don't think fathers are necessary. not even realizing he's negating himself because he's growing up in a matriarchy. That's what he's seeing. Hey, my mom is making it, like it's like even reminds me of my own father. Like my own father, I remember when he told me, he said he didn't know that he was poor until he went to college. Like he didn't know, like he didn't like there was nothing for him to compare to. He was like, I didn't know I was poor until I went to college. When I went to college, then you started seeing like there were some black people who were part of the Black Boule and had, two-parent homes, and people who were driving around and nice ass cars. You know what I mean? In the 60s and in the 70s and shit like that. Like they were driving around in a nice ass car. He was like, how do you even afford that type of shit? My dad was a latchkey kid. You know what I mean? When he came home, my grandmother was not there. I mean, the shit is just fucked up. But and then like you look at today where, it's not just a matter of, like, oh, it's just the evil deadbeat, guys out here, where you have a whole promoted element of street culture via hip hop, where women are out here, they're looking for savages. They're looking for the futures and shit like that. Again, somebody tell me what woman number 6, 7, 8, and 9 was thinking when she got with a guy that's got, 10 different baby mamas, or not 10 different baby mamas, 4 different baby mamas. What was Sierra thinking? Just tell me. What was Sierra thinking when she's like, I'm gonna fuck with this nigga with no condom on, even though he got like 5 baby mamas already? You know what I'm saying? And then he wasn't even done after he was done fucking with Sierra. What is Future up to? 11 now? 12? And his only saving grace is he's a multimillionaire. I think last time I checked, his net worth was like 40 million or 60 million or something like that. Last time I checked. But there's expecting the boys that come out of that environment. And this is what I hate. This is what I can't stand about, our black women. You'll have black women will have this matriarchal situation. They'll have all these belief systems they instill in the boys, create these Franken niggas out here that don't have a fucking clue about manhood, and then they'll try to take those men that come from their matriarchy and as dysfunctional as they are, try to dump them at the feet of black men, that grew up in patriarchy or have patriarchal mindset. I'm like, nah, bitch, that was crafted by your hands. That was not crafted by real men. That was crafted by your hands, and they take no ownership of it. None. And it's just and again, like I know I don't sound it, but like I am thoroughly pissed off at fucking decade after decade of these lies, that even white media embellishes and plays up, of the sexually irresponsible black man, when again black women, 61% of them, are mothers. Take out the ones, that are married, right? Which is, minus 28%, right, of that. And then 59%, of the black women, who are mothers, which would include women who are married as well, because you could have a woman, she had a kid when she was younger, and then she went off and then upgraded and married another dude. That's still a situation where a woman has, a kid by more than one man. We got situations out here where women literally have harems of dudes. Where, and that's another thing, like, how the fuck could you have a patriarchy? How the fuck could you have a patriarchy when you have situations and scenarios where you got, let's say you got 5 guys and you got 1 woman, or 3 guys and 1 woman, like on some Erykah Badu shit. Because Erykah Badu got, what is it, J Electronica or Electrica or whatever her name is, Andre 3000 and Common's kids. Like she's got kids by 3 men, right? And I'm saying, if you have a situation where those men, I'm sure some of those men, we know that it's less than what the black women got going on, because we know it's 32% versus black women's 59% of those that have children with more than one person. But I'm saying, um, let's say we have this scenario where each of those guys, and because this is the majority of the scenario, the majority of the scenarios, she will have kids by multiple fathers, but these men will have only one kid apiece with her. How would you get a patriarchy out of that? And then I'll tell you, you know what the real fucked up, nasty part of this is, right? Because this is where you get into incest in the black community that nobody talks about. Accidental incest, because you have so many half siblings out here, half siblings, half cousins, and all this other stuff. Because you be at a high school, and I mean, like Black Dynamite, but in reverse. Like, in other words, the woman, like when, like in the scene where it was like, my mama says my daddy's name is Black Dynamite. Now hush now, little girls. Go on inside, go on and play, or whatever he said, right? And I'm saying to everybody, oh, ha 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 ha, hee hee ha ha. That's the funniness of the scene. You know what I mean? But it's an extreme minority of men that are even doing. There's more women that are doing that than men. There's more women that have multiple partners. 59% of the 61% of black women who are mothers have kids by multiple men, where only 32% of the 46% of black men that are fathers have kids by other women. I'm going to say it again. Black women owe black men an apology. Just straight up, they owe all these feminists online, all y'all foaming at the mouth, all these PhDs and all these. See, the problem is black men and dustiness and niggas in jail and poverty. And I'm like, I'll agree with you on the poverty, but sexual irresponsibility, I'm like, black women are in no moral position to sit there and talk about, who's out here impregnating or out here procreating with other people. They're in no moral position to talk their shit. It's fucked up on multiple levels. Especially, like I said, that whole people not knowing, like somebody go out here and they find somebody at the nobody goes to the mall anymore, but they go out somewhere and, oh man, this dog, she cute, da 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 da. Cap already had that happen in his own family. And guess what happened? The mother figure, she knew that they were basically siblings, and the woman didn't say anything. And then when the guy came back talking about, I'm in love with her and everything, they had to sit him down and basically tell him the truth. There's a whole bunch of fucking scandalous shit going on. This is the whole reason why Captain Solo is not talking to his mother. His mother can drop dead tomorrow, and he's I think he said that he may or may not go to the funeral, but he ain't talking to her because he confronted her about the whole situation with his half sister and the man that she tried to trap with the baby. And his whole life he thought that he said out of sight, out of mind. And then when he went and visited the man and had the conversation with him and trying to figure out what went on, and you got a girl out there, and my sister's been suffering because you go through the whole identity thing. That's knowing who your parents are, that's part of your identity. So she's like emotionally fucked up, going through shit, all that type of stuff. And he was like, basically his mother lied and said that she had diabetes, and that the diabetes interfered with the medication that she was taking. And Cap called me and he was like, does diabetes interfere with diabetes medication? And I was like what? Like metformin? I've never heard of no shit like that. And then not only that, he's never heard of his mother ever having diabetes. So she, again, bold-faced lie after bold-faced lie after bold-faced lie. But see, what the thing is what she didn't tell him. What she didn't tell him is, even though his response was out of sight, out of mind, that That was in response to her saying, no wedding, no visitation rights. So right off top, because she didn't get the marriage that she wanted, she denied her daughter access to, her biological father. And he lived like not even that far from where they were at. Now don't get it twisted. He was fucked up on, I'm like, man, you got a little girl out there, and they getting into it on some, mature shit. But even later on, Captain Solo's sister, said to Captain Solo, she was like, nah, mom never got over him. She was like, I'm a woman, trust me, I know. She never got over him. And Captain Solo's dad, he just basically shut down, man, moved in with his sisters and literally shut down. And he had problems before. He was alcoholic at the beginning of the marriage, and one time his mother came home and Captain Solo was in the crib crying, and he was covered, he was wet, his diapers were wet, so he was crying. You babies get the diaper rash and all that other stuff, so he's crying, and she threw the Alka-Seltzer at him, and it was like, basically, you need to sober up, or this relationship was over. But the thing is she was already mentally done with him. She was finished with him. And so, he went out there and cleaned up and all that, and it was too late. And so Cap had to deal, with all of that trauma. And, he powered through it, and he has a hard time, and plus, like, him going to boot camp, being a Marine, all the power through it training that he gets through there. It's hard for him to comprehend that your average run of the mill, everyday, young black boy, he ain't going to be able to power through the matriarchy. He's not going to be able to power through, his mother, and then his aunt, and then his grandmother, and then he's like literally the only boy in that space. I've seen that. I've witnessed that shit firsthand. Or a situation where, again, the women go out here and they get with a whole bunch of beta dudes, you know what I mean? And then the only men that are around are beta. Y'all know this goes on in the black communities, women that intentionally link up with these beta dudes, and the beta dudes are just like kind of like floating around, but they don't do anything. And then, they try to sit there and assert themselves. They try to, it's like an old fat man sitting in a rocking chair or something and tries to stand up, but he's so out of shape he can't even fucking, stand up, and he tries to clear his voice to make it sound deeper, to, because the boy is now rebelling against the matriarchy, and there's not a single man there strong enough to contain, the young man and his anger and his resentment, and his being frustrated, like, damn, why can't I go out here and participate in the world like everybody else? Why can't I go out here like you fucking? And he's mad. He don't even know why. He looking around. He like, I ain't got a fucking car. I ain't got a fucking clothes. Motherfuckers is on my case because I'm dusty. Man, fuck it, man. Let me call T Money and see what's up with flipping, some of this dope money. What's up with some of this fentanyl money, man? Fuck that. Right. And then he, goes out there, either gets killed or gets shot up, or on some gang shit, or gets his mom's house shot up. And then what does everybody do? Everybody goes, oh, he's a piece of shit. Oh, he ain't shit. Right. And then he goes out there fucking around, now he got a little bit of money, he spend a little money, he go and get, some chick with a fat ass, pregnant, and he don't have no guidance, no instruction. He didn't get it before, and he ain't getting it after. And what does everybody say? Oh, he's a piece of shit. These black men, these niggas ain't shit. Oh, let's see. And then the black women hop up on YouTube, and then they start Cynthia G in it, and for Harry in it, and all these other women, ranting and raving about how terrible the black man is. And we've been dealing with this shit at the collective level. We've been dealing with this shit for decades. As long as I've been alive, we've been dealing with it for decades. And these women come on. Every narrative is to make them like they're the victim. They don't take ownership or accountability of a fucking thing. And we got to sit there and we got to hear it from them. We got to hear it from, society, right? We getting, constantly thrown underneath the bus. Oh, niggas ain't shit. Niggas ain't shit. Niggas ain't shit. You know what I mean? And then when you try to point out what the fuck the women are doing, then it's like, oh, you just trying to blame women. You're just trying to blame women. Even though women are out here doing all type of dumb shit, sexually irresponsible. And then on top of that, they're getting government assistance. They're getting, backed by the media. They're getting, supported by the Democrats. And, oh, black women, oh, you're so strong and so great. Oh, what do you need? Oh, we need your vote and to come this next December. All that bullshit. You know what I mean? And then people sitting around going, damn, gee, I wonder why 20% of black men want to vote for Donald Trump. Oh, man, I swear to God, this shit is fucked up. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be real. Like, my whole orientation when it comes to sisters is rapidly changing. Because I'm like, nah, y'all, especially even all the time that I've been on, I'm like, nah, y'all need to be on your apology tour. And if you not, okay, don't. Fuck y'all. Like that's how I feel about the shit. That's how I feel about that shit. You don't come around me talking some community shit and y'all ain't gonna humble yourselves. I mean, fuck that. I mean, completely fuck that. And we got these simp ass niggas running around here like the dude that was with Lori Harvey, you know what I mean? The dark skinned bull, he running around, oh, the black women. It's that type of crap. Like even black men get on that shit. Even they jump on it thinking like, oh, yes, it's virtuous of me to cape for a bunch of bitches, to cape for a bunch of heifers that go out here and do some sexually irresponsible fuck shit and then act like nobody can say anything about it and call them out on it because, they're, the mythological, there's niggas out there running around that got babies all over the place. The majority of black men don't have babies all over the place. The majority of black men don't even have kids. And even of the black men that do have multiple women pregnant, they don't have, you don't have as many black men in situations like that as you do black women. So what y'all got to say? I mean, seriously, what y'all got to say? I mean, as far as I'm like, this changes everything. Absolutely everything. And I mean, it's just it's so there. It's so in your face. It's so in black and white. Like literally, I got women right coming in my comment section arguing. I'm like, bitch, it's in black and white. Read the fucking report. And all they do, they're doing everything in their power, all the type of mental gymnastics to try to get around what it actually says. And how they got to the conclusions that they got to. And then they break it down. Married, not married, cohabitating, educational level, income level. I mean, they break the shit all the way down. And then they do it for black men, and then they do it for black women, and then they do it for all the other groups as well. And I'm like, oh, y'all got nowhere to go on this. I mean, nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. And we got to sit around and listen to y'all act like, the reason why the black community is just so fucked up is because these niggas out here not taking care of their kids, the kids that the majority of black men don't have. That's what the problem is. The problem is we got a fucked up kids to resource ratio. And whose fault is that? Who facilitates and perpetuates that more than anybody? More than anybody. Like I said, the number of black men that have kids, 46%. The number of white men with all of their resources, all of the infrastructure that is there, 43%. There is a 3% difference between how many kids black men pump out into the world versus how many kids white men pump out into the world. 3% difference. Obviously based on population, 43% of the white population, which is, what white men are like I forget what they are, like 100 million or something of them, because it's like 220 million white people. So it's like 105 million or something like that. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But 43% of their population don't have any kids. Excuse me, are fathers. I'm sorry, are fathers. And 46% of the black population, of black men, which is the number, I think it's like 19 million black men. 19 million black men, and you know between the ages of 15 and 44, 46%. No, that wouldn't even consider the age between 15 and 44, because that's the whole population. Because you're not, if somebody who's in that 54% that doesn't have kids, that's their entire lifespan. You'll have people who are born, you'll have people who will die, but the vast majority of black men, or all men for that matter, will die without having children. And what's so dangerous about like this information getting out there just across the board? And now I'm looking at like the red pill and the incels and all that other shit, and the black pill and whatnot, and it's like, damn, it's like, yeah, what do they have to fight for? When you see all these women whining and crying and everything, I'm like, y'all are still out here only hyper focused on a minority of men that you find attractive. And then there's the less of that you find attractive, they find you attractive, and then y'all actually link up and procreate with. I mean, there's significant portions of all men that are invisible to women. I mean, absolutely invisible. They don't look at them. They're not a viable option, whether it's economically, they're not attracted to them, the guys are too short. This is how you get up to that, that 54%. I'm not even going to sit here and fake in front like, oh, it's all discipline. No, like women, women fuck. What is it? What's the saying? It's like women have sex with who they want, and men have sex with who's willing to have sex with them, or something like that. Going into the whole thing, like, if a woman wanted sex, a woman can walk up to, as long as she's reasonably attractive, a woman can walk up to any man and be like, hey, you want to have sex right now? And, men will go for that. But when it comes to men on the other, you try to do some shit like that, your ass is going to be #MeToo, locked up, cops is going to show up. I mean, man, what happened? This man walked up to me at the bar and asked me if I wanted to have sex with him. He's a predator. The next thing you know, he's getting fucking tackled and dragged off in the motherfucking paddy wagon. But a woman can sit there and be like, you, right now, in the bathroom, in stall number 3. And, I'm not going to say all men will take her up on her offer, but a lot of men, will take her up on her offer. So, oh man, this shit is just fucked up. It changes everything. It changes the whole narrative. And I'm going to be driving this point home. Every time I see one of these women, get up on, want to talk about the gender war, and they get up on a mic and they start talking about all these niggas with kids and da da da. I'm like, hey, you gonna fix your mouth. You gonna come. I don't care what you do. If you want to, have a conversation, you're gonna fix your mouth on this whole idea that black men out here got kids all over the place. No, you all have kids all over the place. Because you're out here and you're sharing the minority of men, who are fathers, and many of you are having kids with each other. He already got kids, you already got kids, y'all get up, y'all have more kids together, then I don't like that nigga. Then you go out there, you get with another dude, maybe he has kids, maybe he doesn't. You know what I mean? But that's the demographics that we're dealing with. Because the other 54% of black men, and here's the thing, some of those men, I'm not gonna sit here and act like none of those men are getting pussy. Some of those men are getting pussy. Doesn't mean the women aren't fucking with them at all, but they never become fathers. So this whole narrative about how, oh, the biggest issue in the black community are all these sexually irresponsible men. No, that's cap. That's 100% cap. And that needs to be known, and that needs to be shared. But I'm already over an hour, so I'm gonna end this video. You know how I don't like to go past an hour. When making a video, it's just too much. Even for me to sit there and re-listen to, unless I'm like got my headphones in, I'm doing something else. But yeah, man, like this shit, it's fucked up. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.